Okay, hello everyone. We are back with our webinar, PR Pathway in Tasmania and Queensland. And in this one, we already traveled around all the regional in Australia, from New South Wales, Victoria, to South Australia, Western Australia, and now Tasmania and Queensland to see how to apply for the visa 491 and 190 in each regional area. And Mr. Derek Pham, migration agent, has almost 7 years experience in student visa, skilled employer sponsor, family trip, visitor visa, bridging ABCE, IET review, and some appeal experience. And with Miss Anne, education expert with over 14 years experience, already answer all the questions from our attendees and our students and address their concern related to migration and education topic during the migration series. And this week, we still receive a lot of questions about PR pathway in Tasmania and Queensland. So we want to go back to this regional area to help you to understand clearly about education, migration, and job. And we also here have a very special guest speaker from Tasmania, Ms. Alison Young, Business Development Consultant of Navitas Professional in Harvard. And she will let us know what Navitas can help you to finding job in Australia and especially in regional area. So hello, Miss Anne, Mr. Derek, and also Alison. Thank you so much for being here today. Hello.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you all.
Hello everyone.
Yeah, awesome. We can start now. So today I want to ask them question about the visa 491 and 190 in Tasmania and Queensland. What are the requirements to apply this visa? What course to study in the two regional area? And what occupation are suitable to apply in Tasmania and Queensland as well? And the most important part today is our guest speaker will answer all of your questions during this webinar. So if you have any question, please quickly write it down at the chat and we will answer you your question immediately in Q&A session. So great. Before we start, let's watch a video to see who we are and how we can help you.
The education industry in Vietnam, Australia, USA, UK, Canada, and Singapore. In addition to the head office in Sydney, Australia, we now have offices in Vietnam, located in Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, and Da Nang, and numerous representatives in other countries. We excel in providing honest, authentic, and legitimate advice to international students. We have a range of migration and education services to meet the needs of our clients, from providing initial counseling regarding suitable courses, choosing the best institution, assisting with visa application, and pre-departure orientation. We understand that coming to a new country or having to place positions can be a challenging process. That's why we believe in giving clients our full attention and providing personalized service based on our clients' needs and requirements. At AGS, we are aiming for the improvement of the young generation through education and assisting break into the job market through internship programs.
Xin chào các bạn, mình tên là Đào là biết đến công ty như thế nào thì Đào nhớ là năm 2015 Đào cùng anh đến Sydney thôi, mình giúp được mình chân thành, nhiệt tình và hỗ trợ mình như là những người thân trong gia đình đó, hỗ trợ đồng hương khi các anh chị cũng rất là năng động khi mà mình tiếp theo thì cũng cảm ơn rất là nhanh. Thì trong thời gian đó lúc mà đang học có đi qua lại hỏi thăm thì các anh chị tư vấn lên kế hoạch cho mình là anh chị ơi giờ em học thì phải như thế nào cho tốt, rồi học xong mình sẽ làm gì để tốt nhất, bởi vì có rất là nhiều sinh viên đến với lại như thế này khi mỗi người đến đây có những cái ước mơ và mong muốn khác nhau. Còn Đào thì Đào muốn là một bài học nữa nên là hiện tại thì vừa mới tốt nghiệp rồi, đúng như kế hoạch các anh chị giúp đỡ thì vừa mới tốt nghiệp xong 2 tuần sau là Đào được làm full time, được vào một cái tổ chức lớn để mà làm việc.
We regularly host events from in-house discussions, coffee talks, tours, and seminars. The high quality events are much needed to provide students with the essential information about the updates on education and migration matters in their host country. We work closely with various ranges of schools, universities, colleges, and private institutes globally to provide the best options to our clients based on their background, needs, and aspirations. We collaborate with international student groups in Australia to organize both education and entertainment for international students aiming to share, study, and business skills and connecting with their community. As a result, the new students will be more confident to study and live in a new country. Contact AGS now for free education, migration consultancy, and let us help you plan your future. Suite 1, 353 Chapel Road, Bankstown, 02-8102-5348. Mobile, 0430-334-299.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Derek, for sharing us the video. And we believe this video already helped us to introduce who we are. We are education and migration agent, and we are here to help you to achieve your goals in Australia. So in order to achieve your goals in Australia in today's webinar, our migration agent, Mr. Derek Fa, will now provide you information about the visa 491 and 190 in Tasmania and Queensland. Yeah.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name's Derek. First, I just want to say that this advice is general in nature because I'm speaking to a large group of people. So if you want specific advice to your circumstances, please contact us. And that migration laws do change, so whatever I say today might not be the case in the future. Okay, so firstly, I just want to compare skilled versus sponsored visas because they are the main type of work visas that you go through. Okay, so skilled visas are generally cheaper than sponsored visas. Okay, there's more places available and more permanent places available each year to skilled visas compared to sponsored visas, and I'll show you that in the next slide. Okay, with a skilled visa, you don't require an employer sponsor. Okay, with a sponsored visa, you know, your employer needs to lodge an application, meet requirements, pay fees, and you need to stay with them for a few years, usually before you then apply for permanent. Usually it's a longer process. Okay, and then you know, if something happens, let's say you know, your employer closes down or changes owners, okay, and then you need to find another sponsor, you need to start all over again. Okay. Whereas with a skilled visa, once you get that visa, you can change employers. You can even change occupations. You know, you can start working in a different field. Okay, and in some circumstances, you can change to different areas. Okay, you can move from, let's say, Tasmania to, let's say, South Australia. Okay, so generally, if you can get a skilled visa, it will be better for you, generally. Okay, so this is what I was talking about with the places. So these are the places for the 2018 and 19 years, and the 2019 and 20 years. Okay, that those being you know, like July 2019 to June 2020. Okay, so in where's my mouse? Okay, so in 18 and 19, we had 28,850 places for state, territory, and regional sponsored visas and skilled regional. So that's basically the 190 visa and the 491 visa that we're talking about today. Okay, now here, this table is a bit different in format, but basically they've split it into two. So you've got the state and territory nominated, that's the 190 visa. You've got 24,900 places, so 25,000 places. And then you got the 491 visa, which is this one, skilled work regional, okay? And that's 25,000 places. So there's 50,000 places now for those two visas compared to basically the 29,000 that we had last year. Okay, so when immigration introduced the 491 visa last year, they changed the regional program. They gave it more places. Okay, they're trying to get people to move to regional areas because they think that capital cities are too congested and there's not enough people in the regional areas, and this is how they're trying to solve that problem. Okay, so there's different types of skilled visas, but they're all similar in some ways. Okay, they're all points based. Okay, so you get points for things like your age, your experience, your qualifications, you know, whether you have a partner or not, and you know, generally the higher your score, the stronger your application will be. Okay, it's invitation based. Okay, so not everybody is allowed to apply for a skilled visa. Okay, you need to express your interest in a particular region. Okay, and then if your points is strong and if your commitment to that state is strong, then you'll get invited to apply, and then you can apply. Okay, so it's a bit different to other visas. Okay, the regional skilled visas are tailored to state and regional needs. Okay, so each body, so for today we're talking about Tasmania and Queensland. Those two, that state and territory, they set the requirements based on their needs. Okay, depending on what kind of workers they want, how many workers they need, you know, and they set requirements in terms of, you know, how long you need to live there before you're eligible and things like that. Okay. Each state and territory has a 190 program and a 491 program. Okay, each state and territory has a different skills list for the 190 and the 491 visa. Okay, so so you got 6 states and 2 territories, different lists for each visa. So you've got about 16 different lists. Okay, and then most states and territories have different streams within their 190 and 491 programs. So, for example, Tasmania, we're talking about today, their 491 program actually has 6 different streams, and each of those streams have different requirements. Okay, so what that means is that if you're considering a regional visa and you're trying to choose the best one, it's very complicated because there's so many different lists, there's so many different requirements. That you need to be very careful in choosing the best fit for you. Okay. So that's the points table. This is the old points table. Okay, it's missing a few updated things. Okay, so you can see, you know, you get different points for your age and your English level. Okay, I won't go into detail, but the new list is the same, except you can get 15 points for being nominated under the 491 visa. And there's different point systems for your partner skills or for being single. Okay, so onto the Tasmania. Okay, so we'll start with the 190 visa. Okay, it's permanent visa, so it's cost effective. That's the benefit. Okay, in Tasmania, the 190 requirements are quite straightforward compared to other states. So it's easy to understand. The graduate stream, so if you study in Tasmania and apply under the study stream, you don't need a job offer. Okay, so you don't need to find work, which is good. Okay, if you study in a trades qualification, such as mechanic or even chef, okay, you don't need a diploma. Okay, certificate is okay, which is good. Okay, and there is a work stream available for those who haven't studied in TAS. So, you know, if you just got your 485 visa and, you know, you're not confident in, you know, getting a 190 in Sydney, you know, you might go to Tasmania and you've got 2 years to work and to get a strong application in Tasmania. Okay, some things you need to consider is that meeting the minimum requirements does not guarantee nomination. Okay, that just makes you eligible. Okay, once you're eligible, all the people that apply, they get assessed competitively, and Tasmania choose, you know, the stronger ones, or the ones they think meet their, just the stronger ones, okay? So they will consider a range of factors. So not only just meeting the bare minimum requirements, they look at other things. It's quite wide and quite flexible. Okay, so they might look at you know, they might look at your partner. You know, what's your partner's skills? What's your partner's English like? Okay, you know, do you have children studying it? Things like that, that they will consider, and they actually make it really clear in their website. It's like, we look at everything. Okay, so that's something to watch out for in Tasmania. Okay, so in the requirements, okay, so the general requirements, okay, which apply to all the different streams. So you got to be below 40. You need 65 points. You need competent English, which is 6 IELTS or 50 PTE. You need to nominate an occupation on the Tasmanian skills list. Okay, so Tasmania has their own list. Okay, it's quite large, it's about 15 pages. Okay, you need a skills assessment in that occupation, and you need to show a strong commitment to Tasmania, which usually means staying there for a longer period of time and studying and working there and stuff. Okay, and then you need to choose a stream. Now there's 2 streams, and the graduate stream is you need to live there for 2 years, and you need to study there for 1 year. Okay, so I think that's a change actually. So you can live there for 2 years, and you only need to study for 1 year. Okay, which gives you a bit of flexibility. Let's say if you've come here on your 485 visa and you've worked for a bit, and then you want to study for only 1 year, you can do that. But generally, most people would just come there and study for 2 years, thereby meeting both requirements. Okay. Like I said, you don't need any experience or a job offer, but keep in mind, it is preferable, because Tasmania will look at everything. So if you apply for nomination, you know, and you've got a job in your occupation, something in demand in Tasmania, it's going to be better. Okay, and also keep in mind your skills assessment might need work experience as well. Okay, so the second stream is the work stream. Okay, you need 6 months experience in Tasmania in your occupation. Okay, which is something on the Tasmanian skills. Okay, so if your skills assessment, let's say it's in a nurse, as a nurse. Okay, nurse is on the Tasmanian skills list. Okay, then you need work experience as a nurse in Tasmania. Okay, 6 months, must be full-time. Okay, so you can't do 20 hours per week and on your student visa and meet that requirement. It must be full-time. Okay, but you don't need a future position. Okay, so once a lot of states, they say, okay, you need 6 months, but you also need to give me a contract to show that you will work for the next 12 months. So you don't need that. Okay, so a little bit easier. Okay, and that 6 month requirement must be immediately done prior to applying for nomination. So at the time you apply for nomination, you need 6 months work experience in the last 6 months. Okay, so if you take some leave in between there, or if you change jobs, just be careful. Okay, I think maternity leave would be okay, but other types of leave, just be careful. Okay, there's also a requirement that they actually look at the business. So they want the business to be well established, trading for at least 12 months. Okay, so it can't just be like a new business that your friend set up to help you, you know, get PR. Okay, it needs to be like a genuine business. Okay, and they put a requirement called genuine position, and they consider things like, you know, that's a very sort of wide requirement. They can ask things like, you know, did that business really need you? Did they try employing Australians first? Things like that. So for this skilled visa, your employer might actually need to help you with this application. which is not many states do that. Okay, so moving on to the 491 visa. Okay, this is a temporary visa, which is granted for 5 years with full work rights, no study conditions. You get Medicare and free schooling for children. Okay, after you show a salary of $54,000 per year for 3 years, then you can apply for PR. Okay, so you could possibly get it in 3 years, but if you miss 1 year, you've got another 2 years to meet that requirement. Okay, and you can live anywhere in Tasmania, including Hobart. So you can live in the capital city, which makes it easier to find work. There's more companies and people there. Okay, which is different to some areas like Queensland that we're going to be talking about today. A good thing about Tasmania is that there's lots of different streams available. Okay, so you know, if you might not be strong in one area, you know, there's lots of different options for you. You could even open up a business and sponsor yourself in Tasmania. Okay, which is something I really like about Tasmania. Okay, the graduate stream only requires 1 year study and 1 year living in Tasmania, which is more generous than a lot of the other states, which require 2 years. And another thing is that the work stream allows you to work in different occupations. Okay, so you might have, you know, all your skills and qualifications in something like accountant. Okay, but you can actually work in Tasmania as a cook or a chef and be eligible for nomination like that. Okay, and that also applies to the study stream. So you can actually, like, if let's say all your qualifications are in accounting, you can study like a management course or something, and you can still be eligible under that stream. Okay, so very flexible. Like the 190, you know, just meeting the requirements does not guarantee nomination. Okay, I think that's even more so for the 491 visa. Okay, because they've really relaxed the requirements. And at the same time, Tasmania, there's a commitment issue, because some people do tend to try just get the visa and then they leave. Okay, so that is probably even more of an issue in Tasmania. So once you meet the requirements, you need to be prepared to stay a bit longer than that. You know, work longer, study longer, to give yourself a competitive nomination. Okay. Okay, so the requirements, okay, so 45, 65 points, competent English. Okay, with your occupation, you can choose anything on the Department of Home Affairs list. Okay, so you're not using the Tasmanian list, you're using immigration list, which is a lot bigger. It's over 400 occupations. Okay, it's pretty much the biggest list you can get. But if you can do something on the Tasmanian list, that's preferable, because they are more in demand in Tasmania. Okay, you need your skills assessment and you need to show your strong commitment. Okay, so those are the requirements that apply to all the streams. And then once you get into the streams, so the first one is the graduate stream, 1 year study, 40 academic weeks of study, face-to-face and living in Tasmania. Okay, I think they put that there recently because everybody's been trying to study online from Sydney and all that. They can't travel because of the travel restrictions. Okay, so if I actually asked them about this. So if you're in Sydney, you can't study online at a Tasmanian school. But if you're already in Tasmania and you've started your course, and then they change it to online for safety reasons, they'll say that counts. Okay, yeah, because you need to be living in Tasmania during your studies. Okay, same rule about the certificate. If it's a trade, you can do a certificate only. You can do a diploma. If you're doing postgraduate studies, it cannot be a graduate certificate or a graduate diploma. It must be a master's. Okay, and if you study in a different field from your skills assessment and your occupation, then you need to submit a career plan. Okay, so with the example I gave, if you got your skills assessment in accounting and you choose accounting, but you've got you study, let's say, a management course, which is quite popular. Okay, you need to prepare a career plan, explain how you're going to find work in Tasmania. Okay. The second stream is the working in Tasmania stream. Okay, so what they want 6 months work immediately prior to lodging the nomination. It must be full-time. So again, if you're on a student visa, you can't meet this requirement. Okay, yeah, only if you're on a 485 or even a 402 visa. Okay, just like the 190, it needs to be established business 12 months, and they will assess genuine need as well. Okay, so it's, in that sense, it's similar to the 190 stream. Okay, category 3A and 3B is for overseas applicants. We're not going to go through that today because I believe everybody here is in Australia, and one of these streams got closed anyway due to COVID, so we won't talk about that. Okay, the next category 4 is having family in Tasmania. Okay, so you need a close relative in Tasmania, and close relative includes parent, child, sibling, so brother and sister, auntie, uncle, and grandparent. Okay, so they've got auntie, uncle, grandparents, so it's a bit distant. Okay, but there's no nieces and nephews, and there's no cousins. Okay, in terms of like brothers-in-law, brother-in-law, and stuff like that. That doesn't count. Okay, step-brother is okay. Step-sibling, step-parent, step-child. Okay, half-brother is okay, but not like brother, not like sister-in-law. Okay, that relative must be an Australian citizen or a permanent resident and living in Tasmania for at least 12 months. And they must agree to support you in finding work, which is basically signing a form. And, they should actually help you settle in Tasmania. And that's it. That's the only requirement. So if you can meet these main requirements, plus the family in Tasmania, you've met the eligibility requirements for that. Okay, and then they'll start looking at your commitment and how long you've been there and all that stuff. Okay, and the last stream is the small business owner stream, okay, where you can actually set up your own business, okay, work in your own business, and yeah, very much like sponsor yourself through the skill visa. We discussed this separately a few months ago, and I think we've recorded it. So if you want to watch that, please contact Erin. And that's Tasmania. Okay, so I'll move on to Queensland now. Okay, so Queensland 190. Okay, so it's a permanent visa, so it's cost effective and it's fast. Okay, you can live, work, and study anywhere in Queensland, which is good because Queensland is obviously a very highly populated, highly developed economy. So if you going by the study stream, you've got different universities, more courses to look at. If you're going to the work stream, you've got more employment options. Okay, and there's also a pathway for PhD graduates. Okay, and you don't even need a job offer. You just finish your PhD, and you've met the requirements for that stream. Okay, a few considerations with Queensland. For the graduate stream, they only accept postgraduate qualifications. Okay, so only masters and PhDs, not even bachelors. Okay, so be careful with that. Okay, with the work stream, they also want full-time experience like Tasmania in your nominated occupation. So there's no flexibility there. Okay, you can't do 20 hours a week. You can't work in a different occupation. Okay. And in Queensland, sometimes the 190 program closes quite early. Okay, so this year, all the spaces got taken up by November 2019 because it's quite popular, and you know, so you know, if you're considering moving here, you got to think, you know, it might close early, and then you might need to get the next year, or you might need to look at 491. But then with 491, then you need to move out of Queensland into a regional area, because Queensland's a bit different like that. Okay. So the standard requirements is that you need to be below 45, you need competent English, you need 65 points, and you need skills assessment in your occupation. Okay. Now, for the graduate stream, as I said, you need a postgraduate qualification in Queensland, and you need to study that while living in Queensland. Okay, master's or PhD only. And then if you studied a master's, you need the field you study in must be on Queensland's list. Okay, and Queensland, you can see that on their website. Okay, and some occupations, so some fields, they have extra requirements. So they say if you choose this one, you need 70 points, not 64. You need higher English or something. Okay, and then even after you study, your master's in Queensland, you still need a job offer, and you need full-time employment in Queensland. Okay, so that is pretty tough. Okay, not normally they separate, you know, work or study, but Queensland, they want study and work. Okay, and they only want masters. That is pretty hard. Okay, if you study a PhD, you have a bigger list. You can use immigration's list, okay, which is a really big list, and you don't need any job. You just finish your PhD, you've met the requirements to apply for nomination. Okay, so with the work stream, okay, they want at the time you apply, they want 6 months full-time work, 35 hours a week, employment in Queensland in your nominated occupation. And you need to give them a contract or a job offer showing that you will have that position for another 12 months if your nomination is approved. Okay, they have their own list, like so they've got a different list for studying, and they've got their own list for working. Okay, so if you want to go through the work stream, you got to look at that list, and some of those occupations have different requirements. Okay, so Queensland 190 is a bit harder, which doesn't surprise me, because obviously Queensland, New South Wales, and Victoria are going to be a bit harder to get a permanent visa in. Okay, those three states, they have generous 491 programs because you need to move to the regional area, but 190, you know, skilled is a bit challenging. Okay. Okay. Now onto the 491 visa. So same thing, 5-year visa, pathway to PR. You can live, work, and study in regional Queensland. Okay, not in metropolitan Queensland. Okay, now it's starting from November last year, they added more areas to regional Queensland. So the Gold Coast is now considered as a regional area, and there's some other suburbs which are not that far from Brisbane. I did a search, and one suburb was only 30 minutes drive away from Brisbane. That's what it said on Google. Okay, so it's not as far as it used to be. Okay, and you know, you get Medicare and free schooling for your children, which is, I think that's really good. Okay, few considerations. Same thing. If you want to do the graduate stream under 491, they'll still only accept a postgraduate qualification. Okay, and yeah, the work stream, it still requires full-time experience in your nomination, just less, you know, not as long. Okay, and yeah, employment in regional Queensland, obviously. Okay, 45 years of age, competent English, 65 points, and a skills assessment. Okay, so with the graduate stream, it's very similar to the 190 requirements. Okay, so postgraduate qualification, and the website actually doesn't say whether you need to study that qualification in a regional Queensland university or you know, like in anywhere in Queensland. So I will ask them about that to clarify that. So if you're interested, follow up with us. Okay. Okay, same thing, must be on the list. Okay, so whatever you study must be related to something on the list. Okay, and some additional requirements apply to some occupations. Okay, and you still need a job offer. Okay, now the website doesn't say whether the job offer needs to be in regional Queensland or you know, anywhere in Queensland, but I know it has to be in regional Queensland, because once you're on the 491 visa, you have to live and work in a regional area. Okay, so that I can say that. Okay, and with the PhD, you can choose any occupation, and you don't need a job offer unless unless you're doing university lecturer. Okay. Okay, so the work stream, it's the same as the 190 visa. Okay, I won't repeat everything. There's two main differences. Okay, so instead of needing to show 6 months of work in the last immediately prior, okay, you only need three months. Okay, and the work must be in regional Queensland. Okay, besides that, it's all the same. Okay, but I decided to do it in separate, to address them separately instead of doing it all the same, just to avoid confusion. Okay, Queensland also has a small business stream. Okay, and we also discussed that in the same webinar okay, so yeah, a few months ago we did a webinar on small business stream in Tasmania and Queensland. So if you want to watch that, yeah, please contact Aaron. Basically, yeah, if you want to set up a business, you need to invest $100,000 in your business. So you need to buy your nomination. Whereas in Tasmania, you know, there's no investment requirement. They just want to see a good business, basically. Okay. So those are the general requirements. Okay. Please contact us if you want more specific advice. Just a few general tips. If you're looking at different regional areas, consider somewhere where you can live over a long period of time. Okay, you may need to establish yourself, work there, study there before you get the visa. You might need to go on a 491 first before going onto PR. And after you get your visa, you should stay there for a bit longer. Consider the employment opportunities, the population, the culture, and the weather. Okay. You know, different regional areas are all different in all those aspects. Okay, so consider all that. Consider areas where you have friends or family. Okay, you know, I always tell my clients to look at those areas first, because if you have a family or a close friend, it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be better for your life, and you know, it actually helps you meet the requirements of different streams, and you get points for that as well. Okay. Which states and territories have your occupation on their list? Okay, because it's so complicated, an effective way to just know which states you should look at is just check the list. Okay, if it's not on the list, then remove it and just focus on the areas where your occupation is on the list. Keeping in mind that, you know, sometimes, you know, you might have different occupation. You might have your, you know, experience as an accountant. But you might have some experience as a chef, okay, or you might be considering changing your occupation to something a bit, you know, easier, like a hairdresser. A lot of regional areas have hairdresser on the list, which has, you know, low study requirements, low work experience requirements. So keep that in mind. and think, do you have a chance at 190 or should you work towards 491? Okay, so this is important in Queensland, okay, because if you push for a 190 in Queensland and you don't make it, and then you think, oh, I'll try for 491, I'll settle for 491. You need to then move to a regional area and start working again and stuff. So you need to sort of start over. Okay, whereas let's say in Tasmania, if you're in Perth, if you didn't make a 190, you still got a good 491 application. Okay, so, and always think how many points is enough. Okay, like I said, all nominations are competitively assessed, and points is a main factor. Okay, so I have requested immigration. The states and immigration don't release really specific information on how many points you need in different occupations to receive an invitation. So I've requested that through Freedom of Information. I've asked them for all of it. I'm hoping to get that in a few months' time. So please follow up with us if you wanted that information. Okay, so that's the end of our of my presentation, the end of the 4 weeks of state nomination. So thank you everyone, and I'll pass you guys back to Erin.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you so much for sharing us a lot of information about the visa 491 and 190 in Tasmania and Queensland. And we already received a lot of questions from students regarding this this topic. And I will leave this one to the Q&A session and for you to answer. But before we move to the next sessions, Alison from Navitas will be here to show us how Navitas can help international students to apply for the job in Australia or in regional area. Hello, Alison, can you please share your screen and start your presentation?
Sure, thank you, Erin. I'll just quickly share my screen. All right, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alison, the Business Development Consultant of Navitas Professional. I'm based in Hobart, Tasmania, and it's a great pleasure giving the speech this afternoon, and thanks again for having me. During my time working in education for the past few years, I get so many inquiries from international students about how difficult it is for them to get employment here in Australia, or even just for a casual job. I guess most of you, if not all, must have some kind of wonder why I always get rejection from a job application, or what have I done wrong in my resumes. There's something international students are curious, and what exactly should I be doing to get an internship or just some professional experience in Tasmania. That's why I believe these two programs I'm introducing this afternoon will be tremendously beneficial and helpful for all of you, as this helps enhance your resume and your employability skills. Okay, so I'm going to be introducing two programs to you. One is Study Tasmania, and the other one is Job Ready program. Okay, right, and I think these two programs will be beneficial if you apply for Tasmanian state nomination as well, especially for the Tasmanian graduates. From my understanding, students need to do the job research statement, right? If you applied under a Tasmanian graduates applicant, you need to show your commitment and how you're going to find a job in Tasmania. So I believe these two programs will be helpful as well. Okay, so the first program I'm going to introducing will be Study Tasmania. This is a government funded and supported with the aim to promote international students' employability. So starting from July next financial year, we'll be running webinars and workshops every 2 weeks and provide useful tips to help you get ready for a desired job. The next available session will be on 7th of July from 5 to 5:45 in the afternoon with the topic of resume writing do's and don'ts. So there will be more webinar coming up about selection criteria and interview questions. Our marketing team is still working on the page updates, and it should open for registration soon. So if you're interested in these workshops and webinars, please just stay tuned, and we will have more information coming up in LinkedIn or just the Navitas professional landing page. Okay, that would be the first program that I will be introducing. And I know some of you might notice there is a gap between now and the first session in July. So the first session starts on 7th of July, and there will be a 1 month gap. So what I'm going to do in the meantime, I'm glad that you asked. So starting from next week, we will do a free session every Thursday afternoon. And you will get to have a chance with our State Operation Manager, Kathryn, for a one-on-one session for 30 minutes. So Kathryn, so this is a photo of Kathryn. She's our State Operation Manager in Tasmania and South Australia. Kathryn has an extensive background in education and business, and she's highly skilled at classroom management, education technology, curriculum development, and public speaking. So during the session, Kathryn will be able to answer whatever questions you might have. It could be, she could give you advice on cover letter writing, resume checking, or just to do a mock interview with you. So in the first week of the program, we'll focus on your resume first. So if you're interested in having your resume checked and get some useful feedbacks from Kathryn, please don't hesitate to contact Erin or her team to discuss whatever questions you might have, or what is it that you want to talk about, or then we can help you in our session. Okay, so that would be the two programs that we are doing in the future. And so I'm gonna wrap up my introduction today. Is that we pride ourselves as a leading global education provider offering high quality education to students, and we're doing whatever we can to help you succeed in your future career. So if you're hoping to get more hands-on internship experience, we're offering the professional year program right here in Tasmania as well. It includes a 32-week coursework and a 12-week internship in the program. So if you're keen to find out how our PY program will help you with your future career, please let Erin and her team know that they will be there to help you with whatever questions you might have. Thanks again for having me, and it's a great honor for me to present these programs to you. I'll hand over to Erin for the question and answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison, so much. Yeah, Ed Alison mentioned, like, if you want to get free checking resume, cover letter, or interview skill with a recruitment expert with Kathryn from Navitas Professional, so please register with us by put your name, phone number, and email in the chat, or just message us on the Facebook AGS Education and Migration. So we will help you to register and arrange the suitable time for you on Thursday with Navitas. Today we have very long questions, so I will move to the Q&A section immediately. So yeah, so I'll be back with Miss Anne and Derek. And thank you, Alison. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will start with the first question. This one, Tasmania or Queensland, which state has more scope for civil engineers? I think this one for Derek.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I need to check the list, but I'm pretty sure it's available on both lists. I would need to check that. Okay. Keep in mind that sorry. I need to check that. Okay. But I think both of them have work streams for civil engineering.
Thank you, Derek. Yeah, I'll move to the next one. So my background is architecture, and I intend to develop my long-term career with it. My English level is not sufficient to enroll in postgraduate program in Australia University. Should I take English courses in Australia in order to meet the English requirement, then apply for the postgraduate program, or should I choose a relevant vocational courses?
If you really want to pursue architecture, I would recommend to stick with that. Don't change to something else, because architecture is quite in demand in a lot of states and territories. So you can study English. The immigration will ask you why you want to study English. So you need to explain that. As long as it's genuine, you do a good application. It's quite safe.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. One more question with Miss Anne. Like I am accountant graduate currently on visa for 5. What course I should apply to have a chance to apply for visa 190?
So your question is you are Sydney student and you are doing or completing the bachelor in accounting, right?
Yeah.
And considering like what course or maybe visa pathway to help you to go get the PR in the future. As you know, like I believe everyone know that accounting is the point event competitive. For anyone seeking 189 direct migration, the point minimum around 95 up to could be 100 at the times. Most of invitation recently, accountant students have to achieve at least around 95 to 100. So if you are in New South Wales, of course, you will seek another 5 points from New South Wales or 491 in New South Wales. So it really depends on your point at the moment. If your point is, your overall point is competitive enough, mean that you have maximum English point, IELTS or PT 79, and other extra point like work experience point, CCL, PY, and so all of that, then you can consider to stay in New South Wales or move to the regional of New South Wales. Otherwise, you may consider to other states like Tasmania and Queensland we present today. So you may need to contact us later on for your specific case, so we can help you analyze your case and find a best option for you.
Thank you, Ms. Anne. I'll go back with Derek with this next question. I am on visa 485. However, I am currently in Vietnam. Because of COVID-19, I couldn't travel back yet. I have just applied for a course in Tasmania in this July. If the border haven't opened yet, can I study online and count the time I study online in Vietnam for condition 1 year study in Tasmania?
Okay, Tasmania, they have addressed some issues. Okay, in terms of if you're in Tasmania and you can't leave to do an offshore application, if you're subject to a ban, okay, then they say that's fine. But in terms of overseas study, they say no. You need to be in Tasmania, living in Tasmania, to meet that requirement. Okay, if you're living in Tasmania, you can study online, but if you're living outside Tasmania, you can't study online.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. And the next question is, what commitments can I do to increase my chance for visa 491 or 190 in Tasmania or Queensland?
Okay, so I'll focus on Tasmania because it's more of an issue there. Okay, so whatever stream you choose, whether it's study, work, or small business, okay, once you meet the requirements, okay, you need to be prepared to stay longer than that. Okay, working and studying longer than that. Okay, over time, once if you work and study and live and spend all your money in that area, then you're committing yourself to that region. Okay, so you always need to think about what visa am I going to do if as a backup option. Okay, so after I finish this study, what visa can I apply for after that? Not only commitment, but try and exceed the requirements. So if they just want a job, try and get a good job, a high paying job. If they want 6 English, try get better, try get 7 or 8 English or higher points, things like that.
Okay, thank you, Derek. And the next question is, I am on visa 485. Currently, I am studying Master of Accounting in Tasmania. I am going to apply for student visa after my current visa expires in this July. My wife is in India. should I apply student visa with my wife? My wife will be dependent on me now, and should it count for the commitment in TAS government?
Okay, I think you should apply for your wife to join your 485 visa. Okay, because that means you can just get her in there. Okay, the 485 doesn't have any genuine visitor requirement or anything. Okay, so it's a lot easier to just get her into the country. Okay, you don't want a situation where you apply for a student visa, okay, and then God forbid you get a refusal and you need to appeal it, and then your wife is stuck overseas while you're appealing it. Okay, so if you can, get her here on the 485 visa, and both of you guys lodge an onshore application. And about your question, yeah, so if they definitely look at your partner. So if your partner, if you've been living in Tasmania for 3 years, but your partner hasn't spent any time in Tasmania, okay, that's not going to be as strong as if both of you have lived in Tasmania for the 3 years. Okay, if she's there, then she's got friends there. Her English is better. She's worked there and paid taxes. And you can also look at the Tasmanian skills list. And if she can focus on work in those areas, that's going to greatly strengthen your nomination, because she's working in something in demand.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. The next question is, if my partner have IELTS 6 or PTE equivalent, can I get 5 points from that?
Yes, you can.
Awesome.
Provided that she's under 45 years of age.
Oh, under 45, yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. And the next one, yeah. I heard it's very hard to get visa 190 in TAS. There are any condition that I need to know when apply for visa 190 do I have to study at UTAS to get this visa? Wow.
Okay, so a few questions there. Okay. Yes, look, it's hard to get a 190 anywhere now, because it is a direct dependent visa. Okay, but like I said, if you can't get a 190, there is always 491 as an option. Okay, special conditions. Okay, so all the requirements are on the website. The ones I spoke about today. Okay, some occupations have additional requirements, but in Tasmania that only applies to the offshore stream. Okay, so it's just like the things I've been talking about today. Studying, getting a job there, staying there for a longer period of time. You don't have to study at UTAS. Okay, you just need to, if you want to do a study stream, you just need to study at a 𝐀𝐳𝐧 registered school in Tasmania.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. The next one, about working 6 months in Tasmania. Do I have to work in my nominated occupation? For example, I have skill assessment in accounting, but I am working in a restaurant.
Yes, you can't work. I just spoke about this. Yes, you can. Okay. But then you'll need to provide a career plan. Yes, you can work in a different occupation, but then you need to provide a career plan explaining how you have strong employment prospects in Tasmania. So yeah, with the work you need to meet the requirements. So it needs to be full-time work, and yeah, it needs to be an established business with genuine need and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you, Terry. And the next one, about visa 491 in Tasmania. If I have visa 491 and I have to fulfill the condition 53,900, can I use my income from overseas? I have part-time job in Tasmania, but I think it's not gonna meet the condition. So I have some business in my home country. Can I use that overseas income and my income in Tasmania to fulfill the condition?
That is a really interesting question. I need to think about that. Let me try and think. So if you earn an income overseas, you need to declare that in your tax. Okay, so it will be in your tax return. But the definition of work under the Migration Act is work that work is what is it? Things that earn income in Australia. So look, that okay. So after 491, the next visa is the 191. Okay, and that visa is due to be released in about 2.5 years now. Okay, so it hasn't been released yet. So I haven't, you know, I'm not able to see exactly, you know, how the requirement is worded and all that. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I can't answer that right now.
Sure.
Sorry, if you go on a 491 visa, you should try and prepare yourself that you might need to earn $54,000 in Australia, because we can't know that until the next visa is released.
Oh, I see. Thank you, Derek. And the next one, how many points for family sponsor stream? Do I have to have any commitment?
Okay, the points is the same, 65 points. And yes, you still need to meet the commitment, because the commitment is the general requirement, which applies to all streams. Okay, so, you know, okay, if you got the family there, that's great. Okay, but then they're going to look at, you know, you still need a skills assessment, you still need 6 English, you know, and then they'll look at how long you stayed there and stuff like that.
Yeah, the question again is Victoria's now is closed invitation for visa 491 and 190. Do you think they will close in Queensland as well?
Okay, so Queensland right now, it's already closed for 190 as of November 2019. So it took them 5 months to close the program. But 491 is currently still open, and it's right now it's June. Right now it's June, so you know, 491 has existed till the end of the year. Keeping in mind that 491 only started in November last year. If I have to make a prediction, I think 190 will close, you know, around halfway through the year in Queensland, but 491 will stay, you know, pretty till the end of the year or close to that.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. The next question. I am currently on visa 485. I am about to finish my professional year program at Navitas Hobart, and I am also starting my MIT in UTAS in Launceston. My question is, I would like to know what's the probability for visa 190.
Now, so I'm assuming you studied your bachelor's outside Tasmania. Okay, so if you have, and so look, after, you know, if you only study 2 years in Tasmania, that is, you know, that's basically just meeting the minimum requirement. Okay, so at that stage, I think your application isn't that strong compared to everybody else. Okay, and the thing with that option is that you've already done your 485 visa once. So, you know, after you finish your master's, you have limited options to extend. You know, you're looking at another student visa, okay, or possibly a 407 visa, or if you have a partner, you know, maybe your partner can study or something like that. So probably, I would say probably 190 is not that strong, but 491, yes. But yeah, you need to look at backup options after you finish your masters.
Yep. Thank you, Derek. And the last questions is, in Visa 491, is Medicare for the children only or for the whole family?
It is for the whole family.
Child, a whole family.
Yes, but public school is free for the children.
Oh, awesome. If on Visa 491, right?
Yes. So if the children are, on your 491 visa, when they enroll to the school, you give them the visa, and then they'll ask you to pay like an enrollment fee, a few $100 or something like that, but no yearly fee, which is normally it's like $6,000 to $9,000 depending on if you're on a student visa or a 485 visa or something.
Thank you, Derek. I think that is the last question, and to wrap up our webinar today, and I would like to say thank you, Mr. Derek and Miss Anne, and also Alison for joining our webinar today. And last thing, Miss Anne, can you please introduce our team again and how students can contact us, like how we can help them as well?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Erin. So same as the previous webinar, we are AGS Education, Advanced Education and Migration. Our head office in Sydney, and we have the representative office in Hobart, and Erin is our main representative in Hobart. So if you have any question, and if you want us, need us to help you with the migration pathway, feel free to contact us either in Sydney or Hobart, and send us your inquiry with question and your CV to our email, or contact us by Facebook. We are here to help you get to to achieve your migration goal. And look forward to see you all in person very soon as well in Sydney or Hobart. And here some of our team members. You can see here with on the management team, migration and education experts, and our office in Australia, in Vietnam, and in Australia we have Sydney and Hobart. So feel free to contact us or look for Erin if you want. After the webinar, if you want to analyze your case, then contact us or Erin. So we are here to help you.
Thank you, Miss Anne, and also thank you our audience already with us and joined us during the whole migration series. And this is the last episode for the migration series. So if you want to watch our previous webinar, so please check our YouTube channel, AGS Education and Migration, or go to our Facebook, AGS Education and Migration, to rewatch the webinar. And also, if you have any question and want to get consultation with Mr. Derek or Miss Anne, or get help from us, just feel free to contact us on our Facebook, AGS Education and Migration, or just call to our hotline 0430 334 299. Yeah, so thank you, Miss Anne, thank you, Derek, again, and hopefully can meet both of you in the very soon webinar in the future.
Thank you, Erin, and hopefully look forward to see everyone as well in person.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Derek. Bye-bye.
Have a weekend. Bye, Derek. Bye, Alison. Bye,
Bye,
Erin.
Alison. Thank you, Alison, as well. Bye-bye.